So when we look at the next area that we want to cover, we look at the anatomy of the leg. And we're being very specific here. We're looking at the leg and separating the thigh into another section. So the leg, if we look at the anatomy and physiology of it, is created by two bones, if you like, along the shin. Okay, the tibia is the first one, and the name tibia actually comes from its resemblance to a tibia, which is a type of flute that was used in Greek and ancient Rome times, which is the main shin bone through here, and then the fibula, which runs down the lateral side of the leg. And fibula relates to the fact that this bone causes a shape which is like a brooch, and so a fibula is a type of brooch. The idea is that the two bones run parallel to each other. Okay, they're connected by a piece of anatomy we'll talk about in a moment in between, and they allow then the ankle to both be flexible and stable. Okay, so the muscle we're looking at in this particular area is tibialis anterior. So as its name suggests, it sits in front, anterior to the tibia. Now this muscle has three origins, has two insertions, and has two actions. And just before we go into the muscle specifically, some people might ask, well, how do I tell which one's the tibia and which one's the fibula? Like say, for example, when we come down to the lower part of the ankle. It's more obvious here, at the main part of the shin. But a good way to be able to remember here is because fibula means brooch. If you think about the lateral malleolus, this bony structure here, as being more round than the medial malleolus, which is the malleolus for the tibia. Okay, the fact this one is more round and more brooch-like reminds you that then this is the one that connects to the bone that means brooch. Okay, so fibula runs on the lateral side, tibia more medial. Okay, so going back to then tibialis anterior as the muscle, it's got three origins, as I said. So the lateral condyle of the tibia. It also has the origin of the proximal third of the shaft of the tibia. It attaches along the entire length of the interosseous membrane, which sits between the tibia and the fibula. Okay, all the way down behind the muscle. So those are its three origins. Its insertion comes round underneath the anterior retinaculum here, attaches onto the medial cuneiform bone and the base of the first metatarsal. And its actions are to dorsiflex the foot, so to bring the foot up, if you tense, thank you. Start to see the muscle rise there, and also to invert the foot. You can see a nice shape of the upper part of the muscle there, and then as it relaxes, you can see that muscle relax. So now if we look at the Hydrotherm advantages of working with the leg in this position. Although when we work on tibialis anterior in the front of the thigh, and in fact the whole of the leg, we would normally have the client facing upwards. Having the knee bent, as you can see here, by having the air support from Hydrotherm underneath, takes the pressure off the hamstrings, which means that the knee is not causing the calves to be tense. And because the calves are antagonists to tibialis anterior, it means tibialis anterior can be more relaxed when we're actually directly working on it with movements like this. Okay. We can still get nice deep pressure if we used reinforced thumb movements, like I'm doing here, with the water and the air underneath. You've still got enough perches, but you can immediately work on the opposite side. So we can work on those muscles that would often transfer tension into tibialis anterior, and I can come down into the foot. I'm free to completely articulate right the way down to that first joint and the toe. So this whole three-dimensional access of working on the lower leg saves time, it saves effort, and it does keep the lower leg warmer than it would do in a normal circumstance where you'd have to expose part of the leg but without a heat source directly upon it. Now, from a holistic point of view, The lower leg and the foot, or the leg and the foot, I should say specifically, actually relates to where we are in space and time. So in other words, where we're currently standing, where we intend to get to, and then when we arrive somewhere and look back, where we've been and our experience of the journey before. So things like taking the next step, all related to how the foot orientates. How quickly we're moving, like are we running, in which case we're on the front of our foot, or are we moving carefully and slowly and then using the heel of the foot? Okay, so things like care and consideration, and sometimes then being too careful in terms of slowing things down until we're procrastinating or delaying can also be related to this area. In terms of our relationship to space, how comfortable we are in a space, like are we getting cold feet? Do we feel like we're stuck? Are we afraid to trip over things in the path ahead of us? All of those things can be related to the front of the leg. So things like tolerance and patience, or being intolerant, procrastination, all of those things can be held in the lower leg and the foot. And my simple way of getting clients to relax them is to have them say to themselves, right now, I can step out of the normal flow of time, the normal experience of space. I can just be in the moment and I can be still.